In the stillness. Yes, yes, yes. Eckhart Tolle says that stillness is the language of God and all else is a poor translation. I believe there's something in the Course of Miracles like that too, but I love that. The idea of stillness is the language of God. Recently in the Science of Mind magazine, there was a article that said, vision, insight, intuition, and spiritual guidance all need stillness to emerge. They all need stillness to emerge from the deepest levels of consciousness. Creating time and space in our lives to listen to the silence is one of the greatest gifts of meditation. So I just wanted to remind us of that this morning. I was really feeling that strong urge to remind myself and each of us to take time in the stillness, and we do that through prayer and meditation. In our times of stillness, that's when we can put that affirmation Rebecca shared into practice. In those times of stillness, we can hear and we can feel that silent partner. I'll remind you of the affirmation. It is, I know that at all times I have a silent partner walking with me, talking with me, operating through me. At all times, I know that I have a silent partner walking with me, talking with me, operating through me. I accept this divine flow. Now that last part's real important, that we accept the divine flow, because the divine flow just is. The divine flow is happening all the time. It just is. But we have to accept it. Dr. Ernest Holmes, who founded the Science of Mind teaching, he said the universe, source, God, spirit, whatever you call it, this divine intelligence, it can only do for you what it can do through you. It can only work for you what it can work through you. So we have to accept that divine flow. It can only do for you what it can do through you. So when we hear and feel the silent partner, we live from an awareness of oneness, and we're able to see the holiness, to see the miraculous nature of life. The miraculous nature of life that is steeped in oneness, really. So I am getting ready to start a class tomorrow night called Radical Acceptance. And it is about the deepest acceptance. I'm using a book by Jeff Foster called The Deepest Acceptance, A Radical Awakening in Everyday Life. And in that book he says this, spiritual awakening is realizing that you are not who you think you are. And this is the answer to the basic problem of humanity, that we think we're separate from life. So going back to the Holmes quote, that life, source, God, universe can only do for us what it can do through us. When we feel separate from that source, we are cutting off the hose. We're kinking the hose. We're cutting off the divine flow. So again, that quote from Jeff Foster's book, Spiritual Awakening, is realizing that you are not who you think you are. And this is the answer to the basic problem of humanity, that we think we are separate from life. We're not separate from life. This is where I'm going with this talk this morning. Even though some of you probably thought I was going somewhere else, I know that Donna Heil tagged me in a post on Facebook when I announced the name of the talk was "Who Do You Think You Are?" And she put that wonderful Jean Knight, how's it go, the Jean Knight song? Oh yeah, Mr. Big Stuff, who do you think you are? Fun video. I encourage you to check it out, circa 1971. Anyway, so no, I was not talking about Mr. Big Stuff and who do you think you are. I was not talking about I think there's also a song from the Haywoods back in 74 called Who Do You Think You Are? No, I was going with who do you think you are? Do you think that you're separate from your source, or do you think and move and have your being from that place of centeredness, that place of connectedness, that place of knowing? Is that how you're moving through life? Are you moving through life thinking that you're separate, or thinking that you are connected? Thinking that you're something you're not, or knowing who you are? Who we think we are often is, unfortunately, our labels. We think we are male, female, gay, straight, black, white, brown, minister, teacher, doctor, lawyer, father, mother, sister, brother, successful, failure, wealthy, broke, our good deeds or our lack of good deeds, all these labels and accumulated life experiences. We think that's who we are. We think that who we are begins with a breath and ends with death and has to have a form to exist, when in actuality, who we are is so much more than that, and is always, always, always connected to our source. You're not your labels. You're not your story. You're not you're not a victim to life. You're not stuck. You're not unloved. You're not unworthy. You're never separate. I remember I was in class once with my teacher, David Leonard, and he was encouraging us to release our labels. And so he had us list all the things that any accomplishments we had made, if we had a degree or a title, all the way down to being a spouse or a sister or anything like that. And we listed them all. And then he led us through this exercise, where we released our attachment to any of them. We released our attachment to any of them to get to the essence of who we are. And that's so important, because we can get stuck in thinking that those titles and those labels and those accomplishments or lack thereof are what makes us who we are, and it's just not the truth of who we are. He also had us think of some story that was really charged for us, a story that was really we could really tell with conviction and be upset about. And he said, I want you to really get into the feeling nature of that story. I want you to think about it. I want you to be, if you want to be the victim in it, this is your opportunity to be the victim in it. I want you to tell it from your strongest victim point. And then everybody got all keyed up and ready to go. And then he says, but the only catch is you only get to use one word, BLAH. So we had to tell our story instead of, can you believe that I went down to the market and this is what happened? This lady treated me. No. You had to say it like this, blah, 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 blah. And so you have a whole room full of people telling their stories with great, great passion, saying blah, 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 blah. It was hysterical. But he made his point. He made his point that we can define ourselves as a story that in the end, a lot of times is just blah, 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 blah. We get stuck in it. We can get stuck in a story instead of realizing we're free to create a different story, to create a different reality, to create a different experience of life. So who you are, who you really are, who we really are, is connected inseparably to the one that created us. Connected inseparably to the one that created us, one with our Creator in all creation. Favored, but not favored over anyone, just favored. We're all walking in the favor. We are loved, loving, lovable, love itself. That's who we are. We're filled with opportunities. We are always welcome to turn it around, to turn around and go a different direction, choose a different experience. We're free to return each and every moment. Every time we forget the truth of who we are, we're free to return to the true and connected nature of our being. We are powerful, creative beings. And I would even go so far as to say we are a miracle. But I do want to clarify that I don't mean the Webster's Dictionary version of miracle, which is a surprising event that's not explicable by nature or science. No, I mean a different idea of miracle, because what I call a miracle is provable. The laws that govern the universe, the spiritual laws that we talk about of our predominant feeling and thinking state being mirrored back to us in our experiences, that has been proven. We have proven the scientific provability of prayer is what this teaching is about. And so I do want to look at a different definition of a miracle. When I say miracle, I mean the movement of intelligence that, when rightly aligned with, causes our life events in positive ways. I'll give you my definition again. The movement of intelligence that, when rightly aligned with, causes our life experiences in positive ways. Did you catch that? That was MIRACLE, miracle. Movement of intelligence, when rightly aligned with, causes life events positively. And so, aligned with, what do I mean by that? Aligning with, it goes back to the Ernest Holmes quote that universe source, the thing can only do for you what it does through you. So aligning with it is when we choose to align with, embody, to be it. When we choose to be from a place of unity instead of a place of division. When we choose to be a point of power instead of victim. When we choose to be love. When we choose to be peace. When we really embody it in our communication, in our everyday life. And it takes us constantly coming back to that, putting it back into play, putting it back into motion, choosing to refocus how we're looking at the world, and realign with the highest, the highest and the best. So this whole miraculous way of looking at life is different. It's not supernatural. It's not mysterious. As a matter of fact, Dr. Ernest Holmes described the science of mind that way. He said, this is not a supernatural or mysterious thing I'm talking about. I'm talking about a favoring God that says, you I like. I'm going to do things for you, but this one over here, not so much. You're going to suffer. No, we are all given that freedom, that free will, and the same movement of intelligence moving through all of life that when we rightly align with it causes our life events in a positive way, individually and collectively. This is, going back to Rebecca's reading, what it means to accept our divine individualization. Accepting that we're not all that the divine is, but all that we are is made up of that God stuff. So we're not all that God is, but all that we are is an individualized expression of the one. So accepting that divine individualization is our job. In her reading, she also referenced one of my favorite parables in the Bible, and that is the prodigal son. So let's look at that story for a minute. Here you got this kid who's like, you know what, Pops, I could do better on my own. Just give me what's mine. Give me what's coming to me. I'm out of here. Don't you love how I paraphrase the Bible? But anyway, he takes his inheritance and he leaves. He's out and he's in search of pleasure. He's in search of indulging in lots of pleasure, independence, success, joy. He wants to just live it up. But here's the thing. He's going to experience all of those things. He's desiring to experience all those things, but he's thinking that they are out here somewhere. And he has to go acquire them. He has to go find them. He has no clue that they reside within him. So he's going out and he's looking for all this stuff outside of himself. And so, of course, the money runs out. And then his consciousness is such that it's also aligned with him being at the right place at the right time for a famine to be all around him. And then next thing you know, he is feeding the pigs. He is in the what's it called? The little pen, the pig pen. He's in the pen with the pigs. He's feeding the pigs. And he's thinking, seriously, this is, I had a kingdom with my father, and now I'm here in the pen with the pigs, and this is my life. Oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So he says, okay, he comes up with a plan. He's like, okay, this is it. I'm going back. Oh, I'm going to beg. I'm just going to beg. I'm going to beg for forgiveness. I'm going to beg my father to at least just give me a job as a servant, because even my father's servants are living a better life than I'm living here with the pigs. I'm going back and I'm going to beg. I'm going to beg to at least be a servant. So he goes and he's downtrodden and he's coming back and he's ready to beg. And what does he get? Open arms. He gets open arms and a celebration. His father's like, yes, this is the best day ever. My son has returned. He loves him up. He welcomes him home. He gets a celebration. So when we look at this story, we can apply it to our own lives, because we're given free will. We're given all this opportunity to express that which is coming through us, or to choose to not see that, not be in tune with that, and go to find it out here somewhere. If someone else does the right thing, if I meet the right partner, if I get the right job, if I move to the right house, if the powers that be in government do the right thing, then I'll be happy. All these things outside of ourselves, right? Instead of realizing that all of that is an outpicturing of what we individually and collectively cultivate within ourselves. And so he comes home and he gets this welcome and this celebration. And again, it's a reminder that when we turn around, choose a new idea, choose a new direction in our own lives, we are met with a celebration of life. See, we have the freedom to use our limitless resources as we wish, our inheritance. We have the freedom to do that. And we also have a loving Father, Mother, Creator that is always, always welcoming, loving, celebrating, and never angry, right? Never angry. I was blessed to have a father who was never angry. Really, I think once or twice he got kind of ticked at me, and he just got quiet. One time I went to talk to him about something, and I had to drop a summer school class. And now looking back, it seems like that wasn't a big deal. What's the big deal? But at the time, I felt like henny penny, the sky was falling. I have terribly disappointed my parents. This is horrible. And so I went to tell him, and I built it up so much, and I was expecting him to be disappointed. And he just looked at me and he said, you wait, so you need to drop a class because you're not doing well in it. Is that what you just told me? And I'm like, yes, I'm so sorry. And he goes, well, honey, if that's the worst you ever have to tell me, we're going to be okay. So I was blessed with a very loving, understanding father. I know that that's not everyone's experience, but we are all blessed with that. And the mother, father, creator that we have, it's not an angry God that we're talking about here. This is a celebratory experience of being in co-creation with the one. So what else does the story teach us? It teaches us that our inheritance is in fact not limited. We can squander our free will. We can squander our ability to create a life that is working on all levels, but we don't run out of it, that ability. Our inheritance, our divine inheritance is unlimited, and we can continue to turn around, go in a different direction, and start again. That's the other thing it teaches us, that we can always begin again. We can always start again. Life is happening through us to happen for us. And when that doesn't feel like the case, we can start again. But it's about living to express rather than to acquire. It's already in us, this moving intelligence that we get the opportunity to rightly align with, which causes events in our life events. See, it's our job to rightly align with that. It's our job to be it in order to see it. To be it in order to see it. I remember it was probably, if I had to guess, 2013 or 14. I was the co-pastor of another church here in Charlotte, and I had one of my members, oh man, every time she would walk in, she would just light up the room with her smile. Penny, I love you. And so Penny would come in and she would just light up the room, and she just was such a happy, loving person, and still is. Anyway, she came up to me one day and she was like, Reverend Christy, I need a treatment. That's our word for affirmative prayer, to treat our consciousness to a new idea, expanded consciousness. And so she's like, I need to treat. I want to work with you on creating the right relationship. And I want my right and perfect man. I want my mate, and I want him. And so I was like, okay, this is good. All right. So tell me more about that. Tell me what you would do if you were in the relationship of your dreams. What would you be doing differently than you're doing right now? How would your life look? And she said, oh, we would go to the symphony. We would go to picnics. We would go on vacations. We would do this. We would do this. And she's got it ready, right? She's locked and loaded on the list of to-dos with the man of her dreams. And I said, well, are you doing any of those things now? And she's like, well, no, I'm waiting to do them with him. And I said, you have to be it to see it. Take yourself on a date. Start doing the things that you're going to do with whoever he is. Do those with yourself. Go take yourself to the symphony. Take yourself to the park. Enjoy life, and let that enjoyment of life be so embodied in you that it bubbles over and can't help but attract the right and perfect mate. You see, whether we're talking about a man or a woman, or whether we're talking about a job or a bigger picture of a new earth that we're creating together, and we are doing that right now. It's so important that we continue to be for, to stand for, to live from, instead of reaching out to get something else to be different, to make someone else be different. Because when we stand up and are different, circumstances start to change around us. People start to change around us. We become attractor factors for that new. We bring it to us. So fast forward, wasn't long at all, before Penny had met this wonderful man and said, I don't know, Reverend Christy, this might be the one. And then a little bit longer after that, she was moving to Florida to be with this man. And just this last week, she posted a picture on my Facebook and said, if it weren't for COVID, you would have officiated this, but I wanted to let you know we're married. She was what she wanted to acquire. She realized she had to express. She became it to attract it. Whatever it is, we are always given that opportunity in every breath and every moment to rightly align with that moving intelligence so that we can cause life events to show up in our individual lives and our collective life the way that we want to see them. But we have to be it to see it. And when we do that, the more we do that, then everything becomes a miracle. Everything is a miracle, and miracles become normal. Stuff that normally would have rocked us, for example, become beautiful. I was talking with someone this past week who had an experience that was extremely painful, and yet she was able to see the beauty in it. When we open ourselves up and live from an open mind and open heart, recognizing our oneness and our co-creative experience with the divine, then we see things in a different way, and we begin to cultivate a different experience on the inside. that cannot help but be reflected on the outside. Look for the miracles, expect the miracles, know that you are the miracle.